Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Supercoach YouTube channel, where today we'll be going through the round one review of our team. We scored 2,388, putting us in the top 2% after round one, which is a great start, but obviously it's only been one round. There's only a couple hundred points separating your top 1% and top 50%. So very early days, but nonetheless a great start. So ranked 3,092nd. Hopefully we can push up after a good start. But with these buys starting this week, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So first, let's check out the round one team of the week, coached by Jake of the Flag Dons. So started in the back line with Sinclair, Rosie, which I think very common picks. Gruel, Lindsay, Jakes, Sarong and Selwood, all very common picks. Had a bit of a pod in Houston who has gone really well over the first couple of weeks. So yeah, great little pod pick from him. Midfield, Bont, Butters, Dacos, Anderson, Goulden, all very great picks apart from Goulden's injury obviously, but we'll touch on that a bit later. Tanner Bruhn, Jagger, Carroll, Sharp, Watkins, Blamires. Very, very standard picks, nothing too out of the ordinary in the midfield. Has paid up for your Bont and your Butters, so won't have to worry about trying to get those guys in, which is a really good start. Jackson, English in the ruck. Probably two of the top five, if not top three rucks come end of season. So again, he's got that set and forget with McAndrew down there at the flex. So is that going to be the winning play, starting with the two rucks, or are we going to see teams that have the one ruck with McAndrew at R2 overtake come end of season? We'll have to wait and see, but I feel that was the biggest decision of the pre-season, and it seems like early days the set and forget is winning out. So Zach Kostelski at R3, and Sheezel, Petrarca, Flanders, Philippou, Marshall, Dev Rob, Lombard and Finn McRae on the bench, either using him as a loophole or hoping that he does get a game in the next few weeks. Looks like he has Butters vice captain and Anderson captain, so probably was using McRae as a loophole option and potentially can get a game later on. So yeah, very good team from Jake. Great start, obviously. Let's see if we can chase him down. So let's jump into my team though, see how I went this week. Obviously the 2388 score. Again, some similar picks to Jake and many other coaches out there. Started with Sinclair, Rosie. I went Zorko as D3. He still has the monopoly down back at Brisbane. They still look to use him, give him the ball. He takes off those risky kicks, and when they pay off, they tend to turn into score involvements, which we know scores a lot of points in Supercoach. So a bit of a pod option. I didn't love the McKercher pick. I didn't love the Josh Dacos pick. There's a few other backmen. I didn't really love the Whitfield or the Ash. They share the same buy with Sinclair, so I wanted to go someone a little bit different. Ended up going with Zorko. Had that 130 in opening round, backed it up with 102, so I think he'll be there or thereabouts for top six come end of the season. And yeah, a little pod. Hopefully he can go big and jump us up in the ranks. Grill, Sarong, Jakes, Lindsay, Selwood. Pretty stock standard, was pretty good on the rookie roulette. Only thing I could have done better is Sarong off and Lindsay on, but 7 points you're not really going to lose sleep over. So very happy with the back line. Hopefully Selwood can hold his spot and be a slow burn on the bench. If he gets dropped, then we may have to look to move him on. It'll be hard for him to work his way back in the side. Moving on to the midfield, Butters. Yeah, 94, not great, especially his captain choice. They lost to North Melbourne, which I don't think anyone saw coming. And he was just tagged out of the game by Finn O'Sullivan for most of the game. Did well to manage a 94 in the end. He was looking like he was going for a 70. Couldn't really get near it, near enough. They lost by 50 points. They tried to swing him from the midfield into the forward line, but that didn't work, so he ended up going back to the midfield. Still had the 23 possessions, led the team for contested possessions, and clearances. So he's still getting in and under, just was getting hampered by Finn O'Sullivan. We'll take a 94. It's just not great for captain. If we had gone captain elsewhere, potentially could have cracked that 2400 in round one, which would have been fantastic. But I think he was the most captain choice. So a lot of coaches in the same boat. Nick played on the Saturday night against Adelaide. Had 33 touches, just ran around everywhere. Still getting a lot of the cheap uncontested ball, which obviously doesn't score as well as the contested possessions, but uses it really well. Kicked a couple goals. He's just an elite player, and will be M1, M2, M3 coming to the year. So yeah, really happy that I actually started him. Sarong for Fremantle. Fremantle really threw that game away. It was theirs to win. And Sarong is a bit of a shining light out of that. He was only on 70 at 3/4 time, had a massive last quarter to get to 150, so scored 80 points in the last quarter. A bit of an anomaly. I don't think we can expect that every week, obviously. But apart from him and Luke Jackson, Fremantle really just didn't really know how to win that game. Geelong sort of used their experience and overran them at the end of the game. So would have loved to have seen Hayden Young not play as much forward and get him into the midfield, but I guess they're just trying to rest him a little bit. But when the game's in the balance, I think, you've got to try and win those games, get your best players around the ball. And against Geelong, who's probably fighting for a similar position as Fremantle this season, you really need to bank those wins. So I think it's a bit of a lost chance from Freo. But I still take the 150 from Sarong and an 80 from Hayden Young. Just rested way too much forward. So keep an eye on it. Hopefully it's just because of the injury, and give it a few weeks, he'll play a lot more in the midfield, but one to definitely keep an eye on, that's for sure. Sam Walsh, 96. Very similar game to last week. Found a lot of the ball, had 30 touches. Just a few too many errors. His kicking still not the greatest. His greatest strength. His DT to Supercoach ratio is probably going to be negative come most of the year. Finds a lot of the pill. Just needs to learn to dispose of it a bit better. And this 90 turns into a 120. So sticking by Walsh, he's 540. He's still going to outdo that price. So just stick with it. Chuck the VC on him just in case he went large first round. I might have decided to go with a loophole option. But I'm not taking it for that. So Dusty Parish, 93. That's a great score from someone who's only 330k and in an Essendon side who are probably going to lose by more than five goals a game, more times than not. So they're going to get smashed. They have very little system to watch. I was actually at this game watching it live, and Hawthorn just ran everywhere around them. They looked like they had extra players on the field. They moved the ball so much faster and cleaner, and Essendon just can't keep up, and their defense is just, there's holes everywhere. So we stuck with Parish. Hopefully he will outdo his price. Hopefully he can score consistently enough to get about 100, 150k price rise, and then we can look to move him on to a top 8 mid. I don't think he's going to be there, but a solid scoring mid price. So we'll take that. His teammate Dyson Sharp scored a 57. I think he actually played really well when he was on the field. He only played 50% game time. Brad Scott doesn't love playing rookies that much game time. So, we don't love to see that. Kicked a couple of nice goals. Only had the 6 touches. So, hopefully he can get in and around the ball a little bit more. Was playing on that wing. And probably one that I'll look to move on first in the midfield if his time on ground doesn't improve, if his role stays on the wing as opposed to inside mid, probably one of the first I'd look to downgrade. So, yeah, we'll just hold for another week. He's obviously no price rises after this week, so we'll just hold for a bit longer and hold the faith, and hopefully he can turn it around. Tanner Bruhn was, again, excellent off that sort of... Played more inside mid this game, actually, but still rotated through the half-back line. 24 touches, just works at 110%. He's never going to not try. He's obviously trying to prove he's a mainstay in this team now, and I think he's very, very quickly becoming one of those players to help out your Bailey Smith, your Max Holmes in the midfield. So it's not just on those two, and there's now the three of them running through there. So, yeah, great pick at 276k. If you didn't start him, one you'd definitely be looking to jump on. Will go up in price. Will get you consistent scoring, and yeah, just a good player to watch. So yeah, really happy with the Tanner Bruhn pick. Same with Jagger, 113 from a second gamer. Had 30 touches again, 32, 11 contested possessions. So yeah, he got a bit more inside on this game as opposed to last week where he was sort of stuck on the outside a bit more. Yeah, you love to see that. So yeah, just everyone's got him. He's the highest owned player. For anyone out there that doesn't have him, you'd want to be jumping on him next week for sure. Probably will be rising star, make the most money throughout the year, and one of those rookies that you can trust on field and keep long term. So yeah, really, really happy with that pick with Jagger. On the bench, Watkins and Blamires. Yeah, happy with Blamires. That North Melbourne team was exciting to watch for the first time in probably 5 years. A 70 from a first gamer. He's playing that halfback role, 20 plus touches, good game time. I think he holds his spot. They seem to use him on that halfback more than they did McKercher. McKercher's game time was down, was sort of playing on a wing like they talked about in the preseason. So hopefully Blamires can hold, even with the likes of Hardiman coming back. And yeah, I think North have to persist with these younger type players. They've given time into some older players and haven't really returned the faith in them. So I'm hoping that Blamires holds. He looks good. And Watkins, I'm really, really disappointed in this pick, actually. Been mulling over it for the last few days. I had Milan Murdoch from West Coast in that spot for the last few days. And on the day of the Port game, just before their game, I somehow stumbled across a post from... I can't even remember who the post was from, but it was saying that Josh Carr was talking about Jack Watkins, saying that they really like him. He's going to play a fair bit of footy this year. And therefore I got sucked into the pick of Watkins, changed it last minute. And with Port's soft fixture earlier, I figured that he'd benefit from the team scoring more so than Murdoch would at West Coast. Turns out that's not true. Yeah, so I'm really just kicking myself. I had Murdoch there. I wanted Murdoch. I thought he was a better player. I got sucked into a bit of coach speculation, and now it might cost a trade. So yeah, I'm really not happy with that. I know Watkins has won the BNF in the North Melbourne VFL side the last couple of years, so he's obviously got the skill, but Murdoch's won best on ground in state league games. He's won BNFs for West Fremantle, I think it is, maybe East Fremantle, one of the two, the last couple of years. So they're actually very similar in accolades. I just like the look of Murdoch more, but got sucked into the coach. So yeah, one to learn there. Hopefully Watkins can turn it around against North Melbourne this week. Hopefully Watkins can turn it around against Essendon this week. Murdoch's got North Melbourne, so we'll be able to see what he can do against North Melbourne. And yeah, we may need a rookie correction, but it seems like that's one of the only rookie corrections that I really have to make. So really happy with the selections. All in all, from the back line and the midfield so far. Moving on to the ruck line, Tim English, 127. Not much to say here. Thought he was going to be R1, R2 come the end of the year. He dominated in the ruck against Briggs and Riccardi for the most part, but 22 possessions, 4 tackles. So he's doing the work at ground level, which is the main thing I think from ruckman this year. Is the ones that are going to score well are the ones that can do that. So we saw with Luke Jackson scoring 140 and still had 20 plus hitouts, with Sean Darcy only playing sort of 50% game time. If that's a trend going forward, we may have to look at getting Luke Jackson in as soon as we can. But yeah, really happy with the Tim English pick. So Lockie McAndrew at R2, 88. That's a great score from a second game for the club. He's debuted before, but first game for the club. Out-rucked Darcy Cameron, I thought, jumping all over him. Had more hit-outs, so 27 as opposed to the 16. Didn't quite get as much ball around the ground, only 13 possessions, but laid 4 tackles, which for a big man and ruckman, as we saw with Sherry last year, ruckman that can stay in the contest post hit-out generally are the ones who score more points. So 88 on field from a 119 rookie. We love to see that. R3, Mitch Edwards. I chose Edwards over Zach Ostelski because I feel Geelong need a ruckman. They keep trying to use Blixarves as their ruckman. I don't think he's a ruckman. They've got to give up on that. Shannon Neal's not a ruckman. They've just got to go with a pure ruckman, develop him, let him learn his craft, and that's the reason I went Mitch Edwards. He scored a 42, only played the 50% game time. If that's a 70, 80% game time, maybe he scores a 60, and we're happy with that. We take it. So as long as he can hold his spot, I think it'd actually be an okay pick. The Zach Ostelski pick, obviously he's got the def DPP, which can really help when you need to swing the magnets around. So that's my biggest worry. But for me, I hope Zach Ostelski gets dropped when Harris Andrews comes back, Darcy Gardner comes back. Looks like they want to run Fort as their R1 still, as their main ruck. Sam Draper's just come back in the team. Is there room for all 3? Probably not. So who goes out first? For me, hopefully Zach Ostelski. Then a lot of other teams will have a dead rookie, and hopefully Mitch Edwards can hold and he can score. But could very easily go the other way and Mitch Edwards gets dropped post-bye and never see him again. So a risk that I've taken. Hopefully it pays off. We'll see in the long run though. Moving on to the forward line, Harry Sheasel, 134. This kid's a freak. I would have picked him anyway, even if he was in the midfield. Blessed to have him in the forward line. A lot of teams have him. Just runs around there, finds the footy at will. 31 touches. Just a little Harry Dacos. Just runs exactly like Nick Dacos. Watching Sheasel play, it looks the exact same. If he was on a better side, I think we'd be talking about him a lot higher than what we currently are at North. But it does seem like they're finally on the way up North. And if they play like that, I can see them winning more games this year than last. So very happy with the Sheasel pick. Petrarca, 152. Doesn't he just look elite in this Gold Coast side? It really makes you wonder how much Melbourne and being at Melbourne really affected him in the last couple of years, because he's come out the first 2 weeks and just looks a completely rejuvenated player. Looks fit, looks strong, looks happy, and looks dangerous. I think Gold Coast are very happy with the trade that they've made to get Petrarca. And why wouldn't you be, He had 4 goals again, so he's hitting the scoreboard, had 23 touches, rotating through the midfield, up forward, a match winner. So, Gold Coast is scary. And Petrarca's right now probably leading the Brownlow with 6 votes. And a very viable captain option going forward. Just got to hope that he's output maintains when Errol is back, but it's only a few weeks away, so we've still got a bit of time. Let's just enjoy it now while we've got it. Sammy Flanders, 104, bounced back after last week's poorer score. This is sort of the scoring that I reckon we'll see from Flanders throughout the year. 28 touches, playing that inside mid that we knew he was playing. Led the team for contested possessions, so in and under. Exact role that we wanted, exact score that we wanted for just under 400k. I think he sits there and probably stays there rest of the season. So forward line looking pretty good with Sheasler, Petrarca and Flanders. They're a mainstay. And got exactly in return what I thought we'd get. Wooderick at F4, 73. Happy with that for a 250k player. Obviously not as good as last week's score, but we still take a 73 nonetheless. Where's the Dogs game? So stats-wise, just over 20 touches. Didn't take as many kick-ins as last week. Bailey Dale sort of had the monopoly on the kicks this time, so which is what I thought would happen last week. Was very excited to see that they trusted the ball in Buderick's hands late in the game when the game was in the balance. This game was over pretty quickly. The Dogs just dominated from start to finish over the Giants. So maybe they didn't feel the need to use Buderick as much, but I would have thought that they'd still like to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. But 73, we take that. The negative DT to Supercoach ratio doesn't help, potentially because of how dominant they were and a bit of cheap ball in the back line. You don't tend to score very well from that. So still take it 73. If you can average that for 2 months' time, gains 100, 150k, we can look to move him on, and he's done his job perfectly. Mateus Philippou, on the other hand, went down with a corked thigh, corked quad, something like that. Has to get through his training this week. Hopefully gets through and maintains a spot in the side. Sorry, my dog's just decided now's a good time to bark. Went off just before halftime. Had the 11 touches, was floating through the midfield and up forward. Was looking okay. Had the 11 touches, like I said, but just turned it over a little bit too much. So a bit more composure from him, and that probably comes with a lack of consistency in his body over the last couple of years. So if he can get a bit of trust in his game, in his body, I think we can see him actually score and be that sort of rookie that we want for 170 that can go up to just above 300, 350k and look to move him on there. We'll have to wait for injury report coming out this week to see if he gets up or not for the game this week. They're playing the Giants in the Giants, so we'll just have to wait and see there. And if he doesn't get selected, do we look to trade him? Do we look to hold him? Not too sure just yet, to be honest. I'll have to wait for team selections and see what we can do, see what we can move him on for. Dev Robertson, 105, one of the Eagles' best players on the ground, along with Murdoch, the debutant. Good to see him finally getting a go at that inside mid role, obviously behind the likes of Neil, Dunkley, McCluggage, even the Ashcroft brothers at at Brisbane. Just really hard for him to break into that team. So now that he's on a lesser team in West Coast, sort of their main midfielder, didn't have much of the ball, only had the 17 touches. No one from West Coast really got much of the ball, but laid 12 tackles, had 10 contested possessions. So he's in and under, he's laying tackles, he's scoring points that way. When they're not playing Gold Coast and losing by 10 goals and it's a closer match, maybe he'll have a bit more of the ball and even be able to push out, higher scores than a 105. But if that's sort of a lesser game and he's still scoring 100, then he's definitely an on-field pick and a rookie that we might even hold for a lot longer than maybe initially thought. Todd Marshall and Leo Lombard on the bench. Again, between Robertson, Marshall and Lombard, probably got the rookie roulette right. Well, according to scoring, I definitely did. Obviously, would have been better with Marshall over Philippou, but not necessarily going to make that call when Philippou had a better role. So, really happy with the rookie roulette there. Marshall did come off the end of the game with a bit of an injury, which you don't love to see because he was on a 90 and he was scoring very well. Only had a dream team of 43, so his ratio was excellent, mainly due to his disposal efficiency. Went at 85%, a couple of intercept marks, and only played a 63% game time because of that injury. If he stays on for the full game, he probably cracks the ton, but I don't think we can rely on that week in, week out. So we'll take it that we've got it. Hopefully, again, he gets up for this week's game, can put out another solid score and really keep his cash gen flowing. Leo Lombard, 55, just going to be that slow burn, small pressure forward on the bench. This kid does not lack confidence, which we love to see, but sometimes he needs to just take a step back and not try and go through three blokes and get caught holding the ball twice in a row and actually just make that first option pass. But that'll come with time. He's still young. He's excited, trying to hold his spot in this dominant Gold Coast side. So, we just leave him on the bench, slow burn. And at flex, we had Errol Goulden. Scored the 112, which is a great score, but obviously comes with that dislocated or subluxated shoulder, which, he's opted in for surgery. He's going to be out for, they say, 4 months, so he's a definite trade. Have to trade him this week pretty much. I just don't know who to trade him in for. So let's just have a look. Let's click the trade on Goulden. Leaves us with 606k. A lot of these teams on the bye doesn't really help us. A lot of teams will have the bye next week, and a lot of teams have the bye the week after. So I have to decide where exactly I want to go with this pick. Do I want to do this in one trade? Do I want to do it in two trades? If we want to do it in one trade, we're looking at someone like maybe a Finn Callahan. But again, he has the bye. Is it next week or the week after? I think it's the week after. So he's got a price rise or maybe price decrease coming this week. Break even at 134. He'll probably drop slightly in price, but with a 120 this round, if he goes 110, 120 again next week, he'll probably just maintain his price the week after that. So not a bad pick at all. Leaves me with 1,000, but it only costs one trade. So not sure if I want to trade in a player that has a bye coming up next week or the week after anyway. I would much rather someone who is going to play through the buys and continue to score. I know Goulden was going to have a bye, but if we can avoid that, that would be ideal. Max Holmes would have been a really good pick, but he's got the bye this week, so I don't think we can't go there this week. In terms of a player who doesn't have a bye, Zach Merritt, 139, is by far and above Essendon's best player. We all know that, and it's not even close. There's no one that looks like they're riding shotgun with Merritt. He basically has to do everything on his own. He's mopping up half-back. He's running through the midfield. He's kicking goals. I feel really, really bad for this guy. He wanted to get out. Club wouldn't let him. Now they've just thrown a bulk amount of cash at him. See if he can stay. Will he sign it? I'm not sure. Should he sign it? Probably no. Maybe the Merritt pick. Again, it's only the one trade. Moving on. There's no one really jumping out that I go, I need that pick. LDU. I thought LDU dominated the game to only score a 104. I thought he was everywhere. He was influential. Every time he got the ball, it was a clearance. It was a score assist. Just scored the 104. So I'm not going to go there. I don't love that. in terms of going for a player who would be in 2 trades, like someone like Luke Jackson, I'm $4,000 short of doing this. I'd move Jackson from flex to R2, McAndrew to flex, pretty much have exactly the same as Jake, the number 1 coach from this week. But that would require a second trade. And yeah, I don't think any of these rookies are worth trading out right now. A lot of them have only played the 1 game, so it's really hard to go based off that 1 game. I could go, the likes of a Dyson Sharp down to a Milan Murdoch. I think we're all going to be getting Murdoch next week, so do we just go early and do it now? But I think Sharp, if he plays more game time and his scoring output will be better. So is he worth trading out this early anyway? I don't know. So who else have we got? Noah Anderson. I know he's got the bye, but he's got Richmond this week. What else has he got coming up? I'm pretty sure he has a really soft fixture, so let me get there. 100 against Geelong whilst being tagged. 132 against West Coast. Has Richmond this week with a price change. Let's break even 119, so his price will probably stay around the same. But a good score incoming. Last 3, 147, 105, 122. So probably going to score really well. Then has the bye, then has Melbourne, and then Sydney, and then he's got Essendon. So really soft fixture for Anderson. One that I probably should have started, but I didn't, obviously. Again, do I want to trade that player in for a bye and make a second trade for a player who's going to have a bye? I don't know. I don't think so. And then Naz, his price will come down. Baz has the bye. Rouse injured. McCluggage is injured. And then we're up into the 3 big rucks, which I think they're going to... I mean, they scored really well. 122 from Gawn, 128 from Cherry. Grundy will come down. I'm glad I didn't go there in the end. And then there's Marcus at 706. So to do that, I'd be exactly 100 grand short. So I'd have to trade out at minimum Buderick or Bruin. So that's just not going to happen. So I think we're going to wait for Bont to come down, but he just scored a 160 and he's probably not coming down anytime soon. His break-even's 127. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure exactly where to go with this Goulden pick just yet. I already have Sarong. If I didn't have Sarong, that would have been an easy pick. It would have been just Goulden to Sarong. And then we move on to next week. I'm not liking any of these picks. Yeah. So not too sure where to go. I think early days I'm looking more towards the Finn Callaghan option. I think come into season he will be a top 8 mid. So I just get him now, deal with that bye. I'm pretty sure he only has the bye with one other team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's got that round 4 bye. I forget who the other team on the bye is, but I'm pretty sure it's just the 2 of them. So an 89 against Hawthorn, that will roll out of his rolling average after this week. He's got the 120 in there for another week. The Saints this week, which we just saw the Demons beat. So hopefully, the Giants can do something similar and Finn can score well. Then he's got Collingwood and midfielders feast on Collingwood. So, Finn could be a good option. And then he's got the bye and then he jumps back into a Richmond. So, pretty favourable next 3 matchups, I think. His price will probably be around the same. Scoring output. Then he comes into a bit of a harder matchup in Sydney. Back down to North. Then he has the hard matchup in Gold Coast. And then a couple of easy matchups in Essendon and West Coast. So, I'm thinking the Finn selection. And then next week that leaves the option to go a couple of rookie corrections, maybe a Sharp, maybe Philippou if he doesn't get up, maybe a Marshall if he doesn't get up. The only downside with this is I don't have any DPPs in the midfield. They're all mid only. So in order to get Murdoch, I have to trade out the likes of Sharp, Burmise or Watkins even. I'm not trading Jagger and probably not trading any of these guys. So yeah, not sold on any move for Goulden just yet. Trying to play the 2 weeks in advance game. It's making it quite difficult. So yeah, one I'll have to wait for teams to come out, I think, and make that decision last minute. Swans play first game of the round on Thursday night, so I'll have to trade Goulden early and just hope that it pays off. In terms of how we're lining up this week, Zorko's obviously got the bye. Dacos has the bye. Walsh has the bye. Tanner has the bye. And Jagger's got the bye. So we're one short in the midfield already. Edwards has the bye. Forward line. And we're full in the forward line. So, yeah, again, having a DPP, I'll be able to swing someone down to the forward line for one of these guys and probably have a full team. It is only best 18 anyway, so some scores will drop off regardless. That doesn't matter. You've got the bye anyway. And Marshall or Lombard, who's going to score more? Probably go Lombard. Has the first game as well, so we'll be able to loophole. Well, unless Philippou's out, we'll be able to loophole those two. Have to trade Goulden. Selwood, yeah, if he scores, how do I line up? I've got Zorko that I can use as the loophole. So either Sarong against his old side, the Hawks, Selwood against the Crows, and then Lindsay against North. I'm probably going to leave Jax on the field. He just looks the better player out of the lot. Even Grill, I think they give him another shot. He's 73. He scored well. Probably Selwood. Just hope Sarong scores well, and then we can loop Selwood and Lindsay, or we loop Selwood, loop Sarong, and then if he goes well, we'll decide between Lindsay or Selwood. We'll probably do that. Loop the first game. If he goes bad, if he scores poorly, leave Selwood and Lindsay. If he scores well, put Zorko on for Selwood or Lindsay. So sort of the double loophole there anyway. Set the captain to Jagger so that I can vice captain pretty much anyone. Who do I like? Sinclair's got the Giants and the Giants. I might miss there. Port, Butters and Rosie have Essendon at Adelaide. That's a good option. I do like that. Sarong has Melbourne at home. That's not terrible either. English against McAndrew. Oh, they're versing each other. Nice. Sheasel against West Coast. That's pretty good. Petrarca against Richmond. That's pretty good. So a few options for captaincy this week. I definitely like the Butters pick. I think he'll respond. So I might fall back on him as a captain. And we might vice captain maybe Petrarca. I might go Petrarca. Petrarca against Richmond at the MCG. Petrarca likes the MCG. Gold Coast are flying. Yeah, maybe something like that. Line up something like that this week. We'll figure out who to trade Goulden to, depending on teams. But yeah, all in all, not a bad first week. 23.88, top 2%, just outside 3K. One of the better starts that I've had to Supercoach. So yeah, hopefully we can move forward there. Good luck to everyone out there who's still playing or who is playing. Hopefully you guys had a good round one score and can navigate through these next 3 weeks of the buys. So thanks for sticking around, 40 minutes, another good episode. And yeah, I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks.